You don't want to waste time with someone who is not right for you. Guys, gents, everybody out there in the audience looking for answers. I've been digging for the right answers to this conundrum all day long with this shovel. And the fruits of my labor have been great. And I'm going to share them with you today. Welcome on in, everybody, to the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. I am your host and your ditch digger for the day. This video is part of the Buck Up series, B-U-C-K-U-P, Buck Up series, which is geared for men and men's issues. The topic today is choosing the right one. Now I say the right one, what do I mean by the right one? I'm not talking about the right watermelon in the grocery store, or I'm not talking about the right car. I'm talking about something more important. I'm talking about the right woman. How do we go about choosing the right woman to date, and perhaps even beyond that? My experience tells me that in order to start dating, you've got to be able to talk. You've got to be able to be open. You've got to be able to interact with the opposite sex. Because, as I've said before, if you can't talk, if you're too shy, if you're too introverted, you're not even going to get to first base. And again, I repeat this, as I've said to you before, if this is a major problem for you, then I suggest practicing talking to people that you see on a daily basis, people you see every day, maybe at the grocery store, the checker, the teller at the bank. And if that is not sufficient in raising your social IQ, then you may have to get yourself a behavioral therapist to help you with breaking the ice and talking with new people. But assuming that you have reached that milestone of being able to talk, then what do? We've got to keep our eyes and ears open all the time, and that's what I've been saying to you from day one. You've got to be able to interact with that person from the first hello and the first interchange. And you've got to be sure that this is somebody that is not flaky, or somebody that is not for you. There are sometimes we do find some warning signs. For example, let's say somebody is smoking a cigarette and you don't like smokers. Well, to me, that's probably going to knock out that person as a potential. I mean, that's just the way it is, unless you can convince that person to stop smoking. You look at how what is their attire? Are they neat? Are they clean? How do they speak? Are they vulgar? Are they cursing? Do they smell of alcohol? No way. You are going to look at the things that rule out someone as a possible date. If, however, things seem to go well, you interact well with each other, and it just seems to go smoothly, then you ask the person out. Now, I know these days they call it hanging out. We used to call it dating. But whatever you want to call it, you've got to be able to get to know that person better. Remember, that first interchange should only be maybe 15 or 20 minutes to gauge the interest, if you're interested, and to see if they're interested. But if you've both passed that test, then you have to find out more, and the only way you can do that is to go out on a date. My suggestion is this: try to go out with someone who lives within a decent range of where you live. If it's somebody that lives an hour or more away from you and the traffic is a bad traffic pattern, you don't want that kind of situation. It's best to have somebody close to you. Or worse, if somebody comes from out of town. It's a tough one. Is it impossible? No, but it's not the ideal situation. So you want to make sure all these things are in order. And you keep your eyes and your ears open. You want to know. Some of the things you might want to know is, you might bring up a person, a boyfriend. Sometimes I've been fooled. I've been fooled with a lady who may come up to me, start a conversation, and the conversation would go on for 15 or 20 minutes. I would assume that she's somewhat interested, and then she brings up the word boyfriend. In other words, she has a boyfriend. Well, I'm not so sure what the reason for the conversation is. To me, is she leading you on? I don't know. But you want to make sure the person is available. That's one of the key things you've got to understand. Are they available, or are you wasting your time with someone who you're interested in, but who turns out not to be available? That is very key. Why waste your time? Again, why waste your time on a journey that's going nowhere? I've said that 1,000 times. You've got to make sure they're available and they are of interest to you, and that you sense that they may be interested. But you only have a certain amount of information. Then when you go out once or maybe twice or whatever it might be, you continue to gather more information. And you have to see, how do you feel the second time you meet them? Or did you feel the same as you did the first time? Or now are you noticing things that are not so good? You've got to keep your eyes and ears open, because we don't want to get involved with the wrong people. Not that there's anything bad with them. It's just that it has to be a match. And that's the key to this. There has to be a match for both parties. See how that person reacts to you. Listen to what that person, to that woman, tells you. If there's any concerns, it's important to clarify. Have her clarify what she's talking about, whether it be mentioning a boyfriend, maybe it's the last time that she went out with somebody. If she just broke up with somebody 3 days ago, I don't know if that's the best situation, frankly. But anyway, I think that this getting to know process can help you decide who you want to date and who you can perhaps stretch out to a longer relationship. But the main thing is to notice how you're feeling in yourself, notice how the other person is reacting to you, and making sure that there's nothing that you can see, that it's obvious at least, nothing that you can see that would detract you from continuing to see this person. Remember, this is an ongoing analysis period. You don't know somebody until you've really been out with them perhaps a number of times. And then you get to know them under different circumstances. Maybe you get to know them in a one-on-one, then you get to see them how they behave in a group of people, then you get to meet their friends, then you get to meet them perhaps at a restaurant. How do they treat the waiter? I mean, this goes on and on and on. But the thing of it is, you must be aware of things that would negate a possibility of a relationship. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, we know everybody is not always on their best, at their best. Everybody's not going to be the same every time. But you get a sense of who this person is. And if there are any red flags, clarify them with that person if you can. But if you see it again and it's of concern to you, then it may not be the right person for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a potential minefield. Dating is a minefield. It is a war zone for some people. It is. Everybody's competing with everybody else for a relative few number of desirable, shall we say, people. But it's important that you clarify for your own well-being. And again, here we go. You don't want to waste time with someone who is not right for you. So ladies and gentlemen, or rather, if there's any women out there watching, but I say to you, gents, be aware, be attuned to what's going on, heighten up your sense of observation, what you hear and what you see, and go with the best of hopes, but also don't jump to any conclusions that, aha, this is the one, until that might be further way down the line. Because we never know. We can never predict what somebody else is going to do. And that's another issue that comes into play. So as I said to you before, on many occasions, right! and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time. Oh, time out, time out, time out, time out, time out. I advise you to look at my video, The Dating Scene. This will help you thrash out some of the issues and look at all the possibilities of what could happen or not happen in a dating situation or in the dating scene. See you next time!